Hey guys, this is the first episode of a brand new series I'd like to call Passion Project Movie Reviews because that's really what this channel is. It is a passion project. I'm doing this because I love it. I hope to maybe someday possibly turn it into something that can be monetized because, a quote goes, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And this is my passion. And I decided for the first episode of this series, I wanted to make it special. And I mean really special. Now, given by the movie I'm reviewing, what kind of special is very much up to you. This is a very divisive movie, ever popular with teenage girls. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the first Twilight movie. Welcome to Passion Project Movie Reviews, the show where I don't know if we can be friends. Twilight is one of those phase movies, or that's how it's always seemed to me. That, you're a teenage girl and one day you see the cover of this movie and you look at Edward or Jacob and you go, oh, man, he looks hot. Oh, this is a romance movie? I'm going to go watch this. And then you're all obsessed with it, wanting a vampire boyfriend and blah, 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 blah. This is just how the movies always come across to me, and I finally decided to watch it a couple nights ago. So without further ado, let's get right into the movie. We begin with some ever bland dialogue about how she never really thought about dying, but dying for someone she loved was, or always seemed like the good way out. As she's driving to Washington to live with her father, her mom recently got remarried, and as is going to be explained later in the movie, she didn't like all the traveling that her stepdad was doing. And as she arrives in Washington, she gets a gift from him, a brand new truck. And the next day, it's school. That's when she finds out about the Cullen family. This is the family that Edward's part of. What she noticed about them is that they all look different, yet they all have the same last name. Like, one of them's tall with dark hair and dark eyes, another one's freaking blonde, and her friends say that they're a little weird. And her friends are all absolute freaking cardboard cutouts and making things very uncomfortable with constantly reminding her that she's from Phoenix. And then we cut to what seems like a security guard being murdered. We'll get back to that. That's going to be important later. She has a conversation with Edward. Hang on, I'm trying to make heads and tails out of my notes. Most of the movie reviews I do at night, so the handwriting isn't the best, to say the least. Anyways, she gets miraculously saved by him, or by him when she almost gets run down by a van. He's like standing on the other side of the parking lot. The van comes right at her, and he more or less teleports and stops it. she confronts him about it, tries to get him to confess, and he keeps lying, deny, deny, deny. I mean, it's like, what the hell, bro? Uh, you were all the way across the parking lot away from her when that happened. There's no way you could have crossed that kind of distance, bro. But anyways, the or she then confronts him about it when they're having a walk through the greenhouse at school. Oh boy, I can already tell that this relationship isn't going to be problematic at all, because they're basically fighting and picking at each other the whole time like a bunch of frickin' middle schoolers. Uh, her friends invite her down to the beach, and she invites Edward, and that's when she finds out the Colons don't really get out, or don't really go to the beach, and they don't go out when it's nice. And she finds out that the Colon family, like, there's this legend behind them where they have some sort of a blood feud with another tribe or something, or their ancestors do. And I would like to point out... Oh, wait, hang on. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. She then gets saved by these guys trying to harass her by Edward. They're having a little drive, again arguing with each other like they were in the greenhouse. They go on a little bit of a date. And that's when Edward confesses that, on the drive to the date, Edward confesses that he can read minds. And, like, wow, you were going through this whole thing to keep a secret, but you end up not? Okay. Anyways, and then he confesses that he can't read Bella. And for some reason, I don't know why that is. Maybe that gets explained in a later movie. I don't know. And as they're both reaching to adjust the temperature, she touches his hand and realizes that it is very cold. And we find out about yet another animal attack as they're driving home. This time it's one of her dad's friends, and he swears he's going to get revenge. And then, shortly after that, Edward confesses to Bella that he is a vampire after she does a little bit of her own research and confronts him with it. And oh my gosh, one thing that I would like to point out, this is where the vampire speed effect is shown off. It's where they like move really fast. It is so bad. I can only really describe it as reverse moonwalking. Like, what the hell is this? It absolutely sucks. And as they're wandering around in the woods, Edward's all, "No, I can't be with you. Your blood is like a case of heroin to me," or something. I really want, or I might actually kill you. I've killed a lot of people. But Bella doesn't care. She still tries to convince him that, he still tries to convince her that she's not right for him, and I'm not right for you. And she still doesn't care because the plot needs her to not care. And then they have a very generic, very predictable romantic time in the woods. And Edward explains a little bit more to her, and then a little after that, she goes to meet his family, and but she eats before she goes there, because one of the things that Edward explained to her was that his family doesn't eat, and she gets there to find them making dinner. They mentioned before she walked into the room that they were making it for her, and then they get freaking pissed when she mentions that she already ate. Like, they get mad. One of the girls straight up breaks some glass bowl in her hand. Like, what do you want her to do? She knows that you don't freaking eat. Oh my gosh, this freaking movie, bro. Anyways, we cut to yet even more bad effects as Edward takes her on a walk, run thing through the woods. Yeah. And after he takes her home, she wakes up, and or she goes to sleep and she wakes up and he's standing there, and he says in a way that wouldn't go over badly at all. That's totally acceptable and not creepy in any situation, with a big freaking smile on his face. I like watching you sleep. I find it very fascinating. Whoa! Like I said, this relationship isn't going to end up problematic at all, because why would it? And then that's when they set up, or a little bit after that, that's when they set up a time for an official date. And that's where Edward first meets her dad. They go to play baseball. They can only play during thunderstorms because they're so strong that when they hit the baseballs, it makes a sound as loud as, or almost as loud as, a thunderclap. Then why are literally all of the balls intact? Anyways, so, another group of vampires shows up, and I think they're vampires. Yeah, they're vampires. Um, Anyways, one of the vampires, his name is James. He's apparently a tracker and loves to hunt. Oh, I forgot to mention, Edward's vampire family, they're the good vampires. They don't eat humans. They kill animals instead. But Edward's family still feels the temptation. They said it's like going vegetarian for them. Anyways, leaving that little exposition out, they gotta get Bella out of there, and they gotta get her out of there fast. They try doing this little switch up where Bella goes with other members of Edward's family and Edward goes somewhere else, but James freaking knows that, and ends up going after Bella and beating her up. I think, yeah, that ends up happening. Edward finds out about that and comes in to save her in one of the worst choreographed fights of all times. Like, they're doing like these super jumps and they're flying and stuff. But it freaking looks like the way they move is so janky and awful. Like, it looks like they're being lifted up by cables or ropes and literally moved. And oh yeah, I'd also like to mention this movie does one of those things where there's a little bit of voiceover at the beginning. They stop for like the whole movie and don't bring it up until the very end. And that's when Bella does the same monologue that she did at the beginning about, like, I I never thought about dying, but if I were to die, dying for someone I love would always be, or I always figured would be the best way out. She then says goodbye to her dad. The second time, the first time when they were being chased by James, she had to go and explain to him, well, not really explain to him, but basically tell him that she had to go without telling him any of the circumstances behind why she had to go. She did so absolutely brutally, using lines that his wife used on him when they divorced, so ouch. The movie, after she says goodbye to her dad for real this time, the movie then, we then get to the point in the movie where Jacob and Bella are talking, and Edward comes up and says, "Oh, I leave you alone for 5 minutes and already the wolves are coming out." Bella thinks that's funny. And that's where the movie ends. Thank God. Now for the actual review. Did I like the movie? I think that goes without saying. No. Did I think that it was unbearable crap? No. It was passable. I still didn't like it. I went into this with significant misgivings, but I set aside my emotions and watched it from a critical point of view, and it is still a bad movie. It is way too long for what they're trying to do here. The effects are absolutely awful. The chemistry and the dialogue and just the acting has about as much depth as a deep dish pizza pan, and there is absolutely no chemistry between the leads. Like, they use their lines in the most disinterested, I don't give a crap, just give me my money way possible. But I will say the cinematography was nice. I really liked the darker lighting, and I thought that made it, or that at least tried to make it feel more moody and foreboding, which the cinematography was nice. Anyways, my overall rating is 4.5 or 5 out of 10. I did not enjoy this movie. It is not for me, and I understand that it is for some people, and that's fine. Anyways, I have a few movies ready to review, ready to record and review. Which one should I record and review? I already have Beau is Afraid, Evil Dead, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and Hereditary. And what movie should I watch and review next? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, like and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the next video.